The Teachings of Silvanus, introduced and translated by Berger A. Pearson. The Teachings of Silvanus is extant only in the Coptic version found in Nag Hammadi Codex 7, a translation from the original Greek. There is a short Coptic text attributed to St. Anthony that corresponds to a section of our tractate. That text, preserved on a parchment folio now in the British Museum, is part of a collection of maxims attributed to the great hero of Egyptian monasticism. It is either from a source also used by the author of the Teachings of Silvanus, Sol Wolf-Peter Funk, or an excerpt from the Teachings of Silvanus. The Teachings of Silvanus is the only non-Gnostic tractate in Nag Hammadi Codex 7, and one of the few non-Gnostic tractates in the corpus as a whole. In form, it is a wisdom writing similar to the classical Jewish wisdom compendia, such as the Biblical Book of Proverbs or the Deuterocanonical Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach. In such a literature, a teacher offers instructions and admonitions to a pupil whom he refers to as his son. The tractate also utilizes two other literary genres common in early Hellenistic Judaism: the diatribe form, derived from popular Stoic and Cynic philosophy, and the Hellenistic hymn, in which praises are offered up to God or to the personified wisdom. Pagan examples of the latter are the hymns or erotologies associated with the cult of the Greco-Egyptian goddess Isis. Although attempts have been made to understand the tractate as a unified whole, it is clearly in agglutinative text that has grown over a considerable period of time. The basic and oldest stratum of material stems from Hellenistic Jewish wisdom and philosophy, such as was characteristic of first-century Alexandrian Judaism. The most important exemplars of this variety of Judaism are the Wisdom of Solomon and the writings of Philo-Judaeus. Of course, the Teachings of Silvanus, as we now know it, is clearly a Christian writing, parts of which may be as early as the 1st century, and others parts as late as the early 4th century. The tractate consists of two main parts. The first part is devoted largely to moral philosophy and can be regarded as a Jewish compendium of moral teaching influenced by Stoicism and Platonism, to which Christian features have been added. The Christian editions consist largely of crediting Jesus Christ as the source of the teacher's wisdom. The second part is more explicitly theological and reflects the theological and Christological teachings of the Alexandrian teachers Clement and Origen. The first part of the tractate begins with the teacher exhorting his son to rely on his divinely given mind, nous, and his reason, logos, in the struggle for moral rectitude. The pupil is encouraged to attend to his moral education and to pay attention to the teacher's instruction, for it is ultimately Christ who supplies the power for self-mastery. The pupil must heed the summons of wisdom, Sophia, and reject foolishness, so as not to bring trouble to the divine element, nous, within him. The next section is an interesting example of Alexandrian Jewish anthropology, teaching that the human being is made up of three essential parts: body, soul, and mind. Know yourself, the teacher says. Understand that you have come into being from three races, ginos, from the earth, from the formed, plasma, and from the created. The body, soma, is of the earth. The soul, psyche, and body are formed, and the immaterial mind, nous, is that which is created according to the image of God. This teaching is based on Philo of Alexandria's interpretation of the key texts in the Greek version of Genesis, the Septuagint, dealing with the creation of Adam. Quote, God formed, eplasen, the man from dust of the earth, and breathed into his face the breath of life, and the man became a living soul. Unquote. Genesis 2:7. Quote, and God created man according to the image of God. Unquote. Genesis 1:27. The teacher goes on to make the point that his pupil should live in accordance with the mind and turn away from the earth-engendered nature, in what can be taken as a Christian addition. The teacher reminds his pupil of his baptism when he was illuminated in mind. In what follows, the pupil is warned to beware of the adversary, the devil, whose wiles include strange kinds of knowledge, spurious knowledge, disguised as mysterious sayings. One should rely on Christ alone. In material that is also attributed to St. Anthony, it is asserted that a wise person watches his speech and does not put his trust in human friendship, but trust in God alone. This section has been labeled the most Egyptian of all the material in the teachings of Silvanus. The second main part of the tractate begins with a discussion of Christ as the true light and the Son of life. God in his own incorporeal being is impossible to know. He can only be known through Christ, who bears the image of the Father. As for Christ, even if he was begotten, he is unbegotten, comprehensible in his human nature, but incomprehensible in terms of his actual being, hypostasis, that is, his divine nature. God is ineffable, and speculation as to his being is dangerous. Examine yourself to make sure that you have your mind turned toward the light of heaven and walk in the way of Christ. The teacher then goes on to refer to the descent of Christ to the underworld, here taking as a reference to Christ's incarnation. One should choose the gift of Christ and guard oneself from every kind of evil. In a hymnic passage, Christ is praised as wisdom, word, life, power, door, light, angel, and good shepherd. One should entrust oneself entirely to him, and gladly drink of the true vine of Christ. One can avoid sin by fearing and pleasing God, for where Christ is, sin is idle. One should let Christ into the temple of the soul, and thus become truly blessed. In another hymnic passage, Christ is again praised for his descent to the underworld, that is, his incarnation on behalf of humanity, that humanity might become like God. The teacher then alludes to the Apostle Paul as the epitome of piety and wisdom. Christ is praised as the one who, victorious as the first contender, will give the crown to every contender. In another hymnic passage, the teacher praises God who has glorified his word. He then launches into a hymn of praise to Christ as light from the power of God and a pure emanation of the glory of the Almighty. A hymn whose first part is a rephrasing of the hymn to wisdom in the Wisdom of Solomon. Christ is praised for his efforts on behalf of everyone, helping the contender to fight the great fight against the powers of the adversary. He is praised as the hand of God the Father, who fashions all things, for he exists always as Son of the Father, the internal image of the Father. It is impossible to know God as he is, and one lacking in self-knowledge will not even be able to know Christ or the angels or other incorporeal beings. The author concludes his teachings with exhortations to his pupil to open the door to the knowledge of God by knocking on himself. He should guard the wisdom of Christ in the knowledge that God's way is always profitable. The colophon at the end of the tractate is written entirely in Greek. Jesus Christ, Son of God, Savior, indescribable wonder. It is marked off with decorations and indecipherable symbols. It is probably not to be taken as part of the tractate. The exemplar that the scribe of Codex 7 used in copying the teachings of Silvanus was probably the last tractate in a codex, followed by the colophon. Codex 7 has its own colophon following the last tractate. The teachings of Silvanus reflects considerable influence from Greek philosophy, especially Stoicism and Middle Platonism, and the Bible, both Testaments. The author was familiar with the writings of the Jewish philosopher Philo and with those of the Alexandrian Christian writers Clement and Origen. Although one scholar has argued that the tractate is a Gnostic work, it can be shown, on the contrary, that it contains a number of anti-Gnostic polemics. In addition to the texts cited above warning against strange kinds of knowledge, gnosis, and spurious knowledge, the author attacks those who regard the Creator as ignorant, clearly a reference to a Gnostic theology such as one might find in the secret book of John. Nevertheless, there are certain affinities in the teachings of Silvanus with Gnostic teachings, especially with Valentinian Gnostic thought, so it is not out of the question that our author was familiar with Gnostic writings, such as those of the Alexandrian teacher Valentinus. The ascetic strain that comes through in the tractate from beginning to end can be found in many Gnostic writings and certainly must have appealed to the 4th century Egyptian monks who treasured this and other tractates in the Nag Hammadi corpus. Although it has been argued that the title of the tractate could refer to a 4th century Egyptian teacher named Silvanus, it is more likely that the Silvanus referred to in the title is meant to refer to the co-worker of the Apostle Paul and Peter. Of course, an attribution to the historical Silvanus is impossible, as can be seen from the tractate's content. The title is probably secondary, meant to attribute the tractate to the co-worker of the Apostle Paul, who is explicitly named in it. But who the real author or final editor was, no one knows. There can be no question where this author was active, namely Alexandria. Although the original Greek version of the teachings of Silvanus, as we know it in translation, has been dated to the 4th century, after the Council of Nicaea in 325, it more likely comes from a time before Nicaea. Since the tractate reflects knowledge of the teachings of Origen, it should probably be dated to sometime after his death in 254, sometime in the late 3rd century. What is important to remember, however, is that the tractate contains very early material, including traditions that could even go back to 1st century Alexandrian Christianity. The teachings of Silvanus. Put an end to every kind of immature conduct. Acquire for yourself strength of mind and soul, and strengthen your struggle against every kind of foolishness, consisting of the passions of erotic love, base wickedness, love of praise, fondness for strife, tiresome jealousy, wrath, anger, and avaricious desire. Guard your encampment with weapons and spears. Arm yourself with all the soldiers which are words, with the commanders which are counsels, and with your mind as a guiding principle. My child, throw every robber out of your gates. Guard all your gates with torches, which are the words, and by these means you will acquire a tranquil life. But the person who will not guard these things will become like a captured city, desolate and trampled by wild animals. For thoughts that are not good are evil beasts. Your city will be filled with robbers, and you will not obtain peace, only all kinds of savage beasts. The evil one, who is a tyrant, is lord over them. While he is directing this, he dwells beneath the great mud. The whole city, which is your soul, will suffer destruction. Remove yourself from all these things, O wretched soul. Bring in your guide and your teacher. The mind is the guide, and reason is the teacher. They will bring you out of the dangers of destruction. Listen, my child, to my advice. Don't show your back to your enemies and run away. Instead, go after them as a strong person. Don't be an animal, with men pursuing you. Instead, be a human being, with you pursuing the evil beasts, lest somehow they prevail over you and trample you like a corpse, and you perish through their wickedness. O you poor man, what will you do if you fall into their hands? Watch yourself, that you not be given over to your enemies. Entrust yourself to this pair of friends, reason and mind, and no one will prevail over you. May God dwell in your camp, may his spirit protect your gates, and may the divine mind protect the walls. Let holy reason become a torch in your mind, burning the wood which is all sin. If you do these things, O my child, you will prevail over all your enemies, and they will not be able to wage war against you. They will neither be able to stand firm, nor be able to get in your way. For if you encounter these, you will despise them as mere gnats. They will speak to you with cajolery and entreaties, not because they are afraid of you, but because they are afraid of those who dwell within you, the guardians of the divine teaching. My child, accept for yourself the education and the teaching. Do not flee from the education and the teaching, but when you are taught, accept it joyfully. And when you are educated in any subject, do what is good. You will weave a crown of education by your guiding principle. Put on the holy teaching like a robe. Make yourself noble by your good conduct. Gain for yourself the austerity of good discipline. Judge yourself like a wise judge. Do not stray from my teaching and develop ignorance, lest you lead your people astray. Do not flee from the divine and the teaching within you, for your teacher loves you very much and will leave you a worthy austerity. Throw out the animal nature that is within you, and don't give access to bad thought, for it is a beautiful thing for you to attain maturity by knowing the way I am teaching you. If it is good to rule over the few, as you see it, how much better it is for you to rule over everyone, since you are exalted above every congregation, in every people, and prominent in every respect with divine reason. You have become master over every power that kills the soul. My child, does anyone want to be a slave? Why then do you trouble yourself for the wrong reason? My child, do not fear anyone except God alone, the exalted one. Cast away from you the deceitfulness of the devil. Accept the light for your eyes, and cast the darkness from you. Live in Christ, and you will obtain treasure in heaven. Don't become a bag stuffed with many useless things, and don't become a guide for your blind ignorance. My child, listen to my good and useful teaching, and bring an end to the sleep that weighs heavily upon you. Come away from the forgetfulness that fills you with darkness, for if you were powerless to do anything, I would not have said these things to you. But Christ came to give you this gift. Why do you pursue the darkness when the light is at your disposal? Why do you drink brackish water when sweet water is available to you? Wisdom summons you, yet you desire folly. It is not by your own wish that you do these things, but it is the animal nature within you that does them. Wisdom summons you in her goodness, saying, Come to me, all of you foolish ones, that you may receive as a gift the understanding that is good and excellent. I am giving you a high priestly vestment that is woven from every kind of wisdom. What else is evil darkness except familiarity with forgetfulness? Cast your anxiety upon God alone. Do not become a lover of gold and silver, which have no profit in them, but clothe yourself with wisdom like a robe. Put knowledge on yourself like a crown, and be seated upon a throne of perception. These are yours, and you will receive them again on high at another time. For a foolish person puts on folly like a robe, and like a garment of sorrow he puts on shame. He crowns himself with ignorance and seats himself on a throne of incomprehension. Since he is irrational, he leads only himself astray, for he is guided by ignorance, and he follows the ways of every passionate desire. He swims in life's desires, and has already sunk to the depths, thinking that he finds profit in doing things that are of no profit. The poor wretch who goes through all these things will die because he does not have the mind as a helmsman. But he is like a ship tossed to and fro by the wind, and like a loose horse that has no rider. For this person needed the rider, which is reason. The poor wretch went astray because he didn't want advice. He was tossed to and fro by three evils. He got for himself death as a father, ignorance as a mother, and evil counsels he got as friends and brothers. O fool, you ought to weep for yourself. From now on, then, my child, return to your divine nature. Cast from yourself these evil, deceiving friends. Take for yourself Christ, the true friend, as a good teacher. Cast death from yourself, which had become a father to you, for death did not exist at first, nor will it exist in the end. But since you cast from yourself God, the Holy Father, the true life, the spring of life, you have consequently inherited death as your father, and ignorance you have gotten as your mother. They have robbed you of the true knowledge. My child, return to your first father, God, and wisdom, your mother, from whom you came into being from the beginning. Return that you might fight against all of your enemies, the powers of the adversary. My child, listen to my voice. Do not be arrogant, opposing every good opinion, but take for your teacher of divinity the Word. Keep the holy commandments of Jesus Christ, and you will reign over every place on earth, and be honored by the angels and archangels. Then you will acquire them as friends and fellow servants, and you will get for yourself places in heaven above. Do not bring grief and trouble to the divine which is within you, but when you foster it, request of it that you remain pure, and become self-controlled in your soul and body. Then you will become a throne of wisdom and a member of God's household. He will give you a great light through it. But before everything else, know yourself. That is, from what substance you are, or from what race, or from what species. Understand that you have come into being from three races: from the earth, from the formed, and from the created. The body came into being from the earth, with an earthly substance, but the formed, for the sake of the soul, came into being from the thought of the divine. The created, however, is the mind that came into being according to the image of God. The divine mind has substance from the divine, but the soul is that which he formed within them. For I think it exists as wife of what came to being according to the image. But as for the body that came into being from the earth, its substance is matter. If you mix yourself, you will get for yourself the three parts as you fall from heavenly virtue into earthly inferiority. Live in accordance with the mind. Don't think about the things of the flesh. Get strength for yourself because the mind is strong. If you fall from this other, you have become a female male. And if you cast out of yourself the substance of the mind, which is thought, you have cut off the male part and turned yourself to the female part alone. You have become cyclical, since you have received the substance of the formed. When you cast out this last part, so as not to get a human part, you have thus taken for yourself the animal thought and likeness. You have become fleshly by taking on an animal nature. It is difficult to find a psychical person. How much more so to find the Lord? I say that God is the spiritual one. Human beings have taken shape from the substance of God. The divine soul shares partly in him. Moreover, the soul shares partly in the flesh. The base soul tends to turn from one side to the other. How would it seem to truth? It is good for you, O man, to turn yourself toward the human rather than the animal nature, I mean the fleshly nature. You will take on the likeness of the part toward which you turn yourself. I'll tell you something else. Once again, in what will you take pleasure? Did you wish to become animal when you came into this kind of nature? Wouldn't you rather take part in a true nature of life? Animality will guide you into the earthly race, but the intellectual nature will guide you to intelligible forms. Turn toward the intellectual nature and cast from yourself the earth-engendered nature. O obstinate soul, be sober and shake off your drunkenness, which is the work of ignorance. If you are obstinate and live in the body, you dwell in a boorish condition. When you entered into a bodily birth, you were begotten. When you were born again, you came to be inside the bridal chamber, and you were illuminated in mind. My child, do not swim in just any kind of water, and do not allow yourself to be defiled by strange kinds of knowledge. Don't you know that the schemes of the adversary are not few, and that he has a variety of tricks? They have especially robbed the foolish person of the proverbial snake's shrewdness, for it is right for you to be in agreement with these two, with the snake's shrewdness and the dove's innocence. Otherwise he will come to you in the guise of a flatterer and true friend, saying, I advise good things for you. But if you received him as a true friend, you did not recognize this one's deceitfulness. For he casts into our heart evil thoughts disguised as good ones, hypocrisy as secure shrewdness, avarice as conservative frugality, love of glory as what is beautiful, boastfulness and pride as great austerity, and godlessness as great godliness. For the one who says, I have many gods, is godless, and he casts spurious knowledge into your heart disguised as mysterious sayings. Who will be able to comprehend his thoughts and various devices? For those who wish to accept him as king, he is a great mind. My child, how will you be able to comprehend this one's schemes or his soul-killing counsel? For his devices and schemes of his wickedness are many. And how will you be able to perceive his ways of entry? That is, how will he enter into your soul? And how will you be able to perceive in what garment he will enter you? Except Christ, who is able to set you free. He has taken on that one's devices, so that through these he might destroy him with guile. For this is the king you have, who is forever invincible. Against him no one will be able to fight or speak a word. This is your king and your father. There is none like him. The divine teacher is with you at all times as a helper. He meets you because of the good you have within you. Do not put a malicious word in your disposition, for every malicious person harms only himself. Only a foolish person walks toward his own destruction, but a wise person knows his way. A foolish person does not keep from telling a secret. A wise person, on the other hand, does not blurt out every word, but scrutinizes those who hear. Don't utter every word in the presence of those you don't know. Have a good number of friends, but not many counselors. First examine your counselor, and don't honor anyone who flatters. Their speech is sweet as honey, but their hearts are full of poison. For whenever they think they have become a reliable friend, then they will deceitfully turn against you and throw you down into the mud. Do not trust anyone as a friend, for the whole world has become deceitful, and every person is troubled in vain. All things of the world are without profit, they happen in vain. There is no real friend, not even a brother, since each person seeks his own advantage. My child, do not have anyone as a friend. If you acquire one, do not entrust yourself to him. Entrust yourself to God alone, both as father and as friend, for everyone goes about in deceit. The whole earth is full of suffering and pain, things in which there is no profit. If you wish to lead your life in tranquility, do not keep company with anyone. Even if you do keep company with them, be as if you do not. Be pleasing to God, and you will not need anyone. Live with Christ, and he will save you, for he is the true light and the Son of life. Just as the visible sun shines on physical eyes, so Christ illuminates every mind and heart. For if one who is wicked during his lifetime has an evil death, how much more so does one who has a blind mind? For every blind person remains incapable of seeing it. So it is with people who do not have a sound mind. They do not delight in acquiring the light of Christ, which is reason. For everything visible is a copy of what is invisible. As a fire burns in a place without being confined to it, so it is with the sun in the sky. All of its rays extend to places on earth. It is a single being that Christ has, and he gives light to every place. This is also the way he speaks about our mind, using the image of a lamp burning and lighting up the whole place. Existing only in a part of the soul, it still gives light to all the parts of the body. In addition, I will say something more important. The mind, in terms of its actual being, is in a place, which means it is in the body. But in terms of the thought process, the mind is not in a place, for how can it be in a place when it contemplates every place? But we are able to say something still more important than this. Do not think in yourself that God is in a place. If you localize the Lord of all in a place, then you could say that the place is more exalted than the one who dwells in it, for what contains is superior to what is contained. For there is no place that can be called incorporeal. It is not right for us to say that God is corporeal. The consequence would be that we attribute both increase and decrease to the body, and also that one who is subject to these will not remain imperishable. Now, the Creator of all creatures is not difficult to know, but it is impossible to comprehend what he is like. For it is not only difficult for human beings to comprehend God, but it is also difficult for every divine nature, the angels and the archangels. For it is necessary to know God in the way he is. You cannot know God through any means except through Christ, who bears the image of the Father. For this image reveals the true likeness of God in a visible way. A king is usually not known apart from an image. Consider these things about God. He is in every place. On the other hand, he is in no place. In terms of power, he is in every place, but in terms of divinity, he is in no place. So then it is possible to know God a little. In terms of his power, he fills every place, but in his exalted divinity, nothing contains him. Everything is in God, but God is not in anything. What is it to know God? Everything that partakes of the truth is God. But it is as impossible to look at Christ as it is to look at the sun. God sees everyone. No one looks at him. Christ receives and gives ungrudgingly. He is the light of the Father. Thus he sheds light on every place. Christ is all, who has inherited everything from the one who is. For the all is Christ, apart from his incorruptibility. When you consider sin, it is not anything real. The apprehension of imperishability is the apprehension of Christ. He is the light shining undefiled, for the sun shines on every impure place, yet it is not defiled. So it is with Christ. Even if he is in deficiency, yet he is without deficiency. Even if he was begotten, he is unbegotten. So it is with Christ. If, on the one hand, he is comprehensible, on the other he is incomprehensible in terms of his actual being. Christ is the all. Whoever does not possess the all cannot know Christ. My child, do not dare to speak a word about this one, and do not confine the God of all to mental images. For will the one who condemns not be judged by the one who condemns? It is good to ask and to know who God is. Reason and mind are masculine nouns. Let the person who wishes to know about this one ask quietly and reverently, for there is no small danger in speaking about these things, since you know that you will be judged on the basis of everything you say. Understand by this that the one who is in darkness will not be able to see anything without receiving the light, by which means he can see. Examine yourself to see whether you really have the light, so that if you ask about these things, you may understand how you will escape. For many are seeking in darkness, and they grope about wishing to understand, since there is no light for them. My child, do not let your mind stare downward, but rather let it look with the light at things above, for light always comes from above. Even if it is located on earth, let it seek to pursue the things above. Illuminate your mind with heavenly light, so that you may turn toward the light of heaven. Do not tire of knocking on the door of the Word, and do not cease walking in the way of Christ. Walk in it that you may receive rest from your labors. If you walk in another way, the way you take is of no profit. For those who walk in the broad way will in the end go down to muddy perdition. For the underworld is wide, open to the soul, and the place of perdition is broad. Accept Christ, the narrow way, for he is oppressed and bears affliction for your sin. O obstinate soul, in what ignorance you exist, for who is your guide into the darkness? How many likenesses did Christ take on because of you? Although he was divine, he was found among humans as a human. He descended to the underworld. He released the children of death. They were suffering birth pangs, as the Scripture of God has said, and he sealed the heart within it. He completely broke its strong bows, and when all the powers had seen him, they fled, so that he might bring you, poor wretch, up from the abyss, and die for you as a ransom for your sin. He saved you from the strong hand of the underworld. But as for you, give him utterly and completely your assent by taking decisive action, that he may take you up with joy. That assent is the gift of Christ, which is humility of heart. The acceptable sacrifice is a contrite heart. If you humble yourself, you will be greatly exalted, and if you exalt yourself, you will be exceedingly humbled. My child, guard yourself against evil, and do not let the spirit of evil throw you down into the abyss, for he is mad and bitter. He is terrifying and throws everyone he can into a pit of mud. It is a very good thing not to love fornication, and not even to think of that wretched subject at all, for to think of it is death. It is not a good thing for any person to fall into death, for a soul that is dead will be without reason. It is better not to live at all than to acquire an animal's life. Watch yourself so that you are not burned by the fires of fornication. Many shooters of the arrow are slaves to it. These whom you don't know are your enemies. O my child, strip off the old garment of fornication and put on the clean and shining garment. In it you are beautiful. When you have this garment, protect it well. Release yourself from every bond, that you may acquire freedom for yourself. If you cast away from yourself desire with its many devices and release yourself from sins of pleasure. The text is lost here. Listen, O soul, to my advice. Do not become a nest of foxes and snakes, or a hole for lizards and asps, and a lair for lions, or a shelter for vipers. When these things happen to you, O soul, what will you do? For these are the powers of the adversary. Through them everything dead will gain entrance to you, for their food is everything dead and everything impure. When these are within you, what living thing will come into you? The living angels will detest you. You were a temple, but you made yourself a tomb. Stop being a tomb and become a temple again, that uprightness and divinity may remain in you. Light the light within you and don't put it out, for no one lights a lamp for wild animals or their young. Raise your dead who have died, for they were once living, and they died on your account. Give them life, and they will live again, for the tree of life is Christ. He is wisdom. He is wisdom and also the Word. He is the life, the power, and the door. He is the light, the angel, and the good shepherd. Entrust yourself to this one who became all for your sake. Knock on your inner self as upon a door, and walk within yourself as on a straight road. For if you walk on the road, you won't be able to go astray. And if you knock on this one, you knock on hidden treasures. Since he is wisdom, he makes the foolish person wise. She is a holy kingdom and a shining robe. Having much gold, she gives you great honor. The wisdom of God became for your sake a foolish form, that she might pick you up, O foolish one, and make you wise. And the life died for you when he was powerless, so that through his death he might give life to you who were once dead. Entrust yourself to the Word and remove yourself from animality. It is clear what an animal is, one who lacks reason. For many think they have reason, but if you take a good look at them, their speech is animality. Give yourself gladness from the true vine of Christ. Satisfy yourself with the true wine, in which there is neither drunkenness nor dregs. The true wine entails the end of drinking, since it can give joy to the soul and mind through the Spirit of God. But first, before you drink of it, nurture your reasoning powers. Do not stab yourself with the sword of sin. Do not burn yourself, O wretched one, with the fire of pleasure. Do not surrender yourself to barbarians like a prisoner, or to savage beasts that want to trample you, for they are like lions roaring very loudly. Don't be a corpse, or they will trample you. Since you are a human, it is possible for you, through reasoning, to conquer them. The person who does nothing worthy of God is not the rational person. The rational person is the one who fears God. The one who fears God does nothing insolent. The one who keeps himself from doing anything insolent is someone who keeps his guiding principle. This person, though existing on earth as a human being, makes himself like God. The one who makes himself like God is someone who does nothing unworthy of God. According to the statement of Paul, this person is one who has become like Christ. Who can worship God without wanting to do things that are pleasing to God? For worship of God is something that comes from the heart, and worship of God from the heart characterizes every soul that is near to God. The soul that is a member of God's household is one that is kept pure, and the soul that is put on Christ is one that is pure, and it is impossible for it to sin. Where Christ is, sin is idle. Let Christ alone enter your world, and let him bring to nothing all powers that have come upon you. Let him enter the temple that is within you, that he might throw out all the merchants. Let him dwell in your inner temple, and you become for him a priest and a Levite, entering in purity. Blessed are you, O soul, if you find this one in your temple. Blessed are you still more if you perform his service. But whoever defiles God's temple, God will destroy. For you are revealed for what you are, O man, if you throw this one out of your temple. For whenever the enemies do not see Christ in you, then they will come into you armed in order to crush you. O my child, I have given you orders about these things many times, so that you would always guard your soul. It is not you who will throw him out, but he will throw you out. For if you flee from him, you will fall into great sin. Again, if you flee from him, you will become food for your enemies. All who are worthless run away from their masters, and the person who is worthless in terms of virtue and wisdom runs away from Christ. Everyone who is separated from him falls into the paws of the wild beasts. Know who Christ is and acquire him as a friend, for he is the true friend. He is also God and teacher. He, being divine, became human for your sake. He is the one who broke the underworld's iron bars and bronze bolts. He is the one who attacked and threw down every arrogant tyrant, the one who loosened the bonds with which he was being held, and brought up the poor from the abyss and the mourners from the underworld, the one who humbled the arrogant powers, the one who through humility put arrogance to shame, the one who through weakness threw down the strong and the boaster, the one who through his shame scorned what is thought to be honorable. The humility for God's sake might be highly exalted, the one who put on humanity and is God, the divine word, the one who always bears patiently with humanity, and wished to instill humility in the exalted one. The one who has exalted humanity became like humanity, not that he might bring God down to humanity, but that humanity might become like God. Oh, this great goodness of God! O Christ, King who have revealed to humans the great divinity, King of every virtue and King of life, King of the ages and Great One of the heavens, hear my words and forgive me. Furthermore, he manifested a great zeal for piety. Where is a wise person, or one powerful in intelligence, or a person whose wanderings are many because he knows wisdom? Let him speak wisdom, let him utter great boasting, for everyone has become foolish. He spoke of his own knowledge when he said, "He confounded the counsels of the guileful people, and caught those wise in their own understanding." Who will be able to discover the counsel of the Almighty, or describe divinity, or express it correctly? If we have not been able to understand the counsel of our companions, who will be able to comprehend divinity or the heavenly divinities? If we scarcely find things on earth, who will search for heavenly things? A great power and a great glory has been revealed to the world, and the life of heaven wishes to make everything new, that he may cast out what is weak in every black garment, and everyone shine with great brilliance in heavenly garments to make manifest the command of the Father, and that he might crown those wishing to contend well. Christ is the judge of the contest and the one who has given each one the crown. He teaches everyone to contend. He who, as the first contender receiving the crown, gained the victory, and appeared giving light to everyone. Everything has been made new through the Holy Spirit and the mind. O Lord Almighty, how much praise shall I give you? No one has been able to glorify God adequately. It is you who have glorified your word in order to save everyone. O merciful God, it is he who has come forth from your mouth, the firstborn, wisdom, the prototype, the first light. For he is light from the power of God, and he is a pure emanation of the glory of the Almighty. He is the spotless mirror of the activity of God, and he is the image of his goodness. For he is also the light of light forever. He is the eye that looks at the invisible Father. He is always serving and creating by the Father's will. He who alone was begotten by the Father's good pleasure. For he is an incomprehensible word, and he is wisdom and life. All living beings and powers he vivifies and nourishes, just as the soul gives life to all the members of the body. He rules over all with power and gives life to them, for he is the beginning and the end of everyone. He watches over all and encompasses them. He takes pains on behalf of everyone, and he rejoices and also mourns. He mourns for those who have gotten the place of punishment as their lot. On the other hand, he takes pains on behalf of everyone whom he arduously brings to instruction, and he rejoices over everyone who lives in purity. So take care that you not fall into the hands of the robbers. Do not give sleep to your eyes or slumber to your eyelids, that you may be saved like a gazelle from snares and like a bird from a trap. Fight the great fight as long as the contest lasts, while all the powers are staring at you, not only the holy ones, but also all the powers of the adversary. Woe to you if you are vanquished in the presence of everyone watching you. If you fight the fight and gain the victory over the powers that fight against you, you will bring great joy to everyone who is holy, and you will bring great grief to your enemies. The judge of your contest is entirely helpful, since he wants you to prevail. Listen, my child, and do not be slow of hearing. Soar aloft like an eagle when you have left your old self behind. Fear God in all your acts, and glorify him through good work. You know that every person who is not pleasing to God is the child of perdition, and will go down to the abyss of the underworld. Oh, this patience of God, which bears with everyone, which desires that everyone who has become subject to sin be saved. But no one prevents him from doing what he wants. For who is stronger than he that he might prevent him? To be sure, it is he who touches the earth, causing it to quake, and causing the mountains to give off smoke. He it is who gathered the waters of such a great sea as in a wineskin, and weighed all the water in the palm of his hand. Only the hand of the Lord has created all these things. This hand of the Father is Christ, and it fashions all things. Through it everything has come into being, since it became the mother of everything. It is he alone, existing always as Son of the Father. Consider these things about God. The Almighty who always exists was not always reigning as king without also needing the divine Son. Everything subsists in God, that is, the things that came into being through the Word, who is the Son as the image of the Father. For God is near at hand and not far off. Where is his limit? Divine entities are all related to God. Therefore, if this divine agrees with you in anything, even partially, know that the entire divine agrees with you. But this divine is not content with anything evil, for it is this which teaches everyone about what is good. This is what God has given to the human race, so that for this reason every human might be superior to all the angels and the archangels. God does not need to test anyone. He knows all things even before they happen, and he knows the hidden things of the heart. They are all revealed and found wanting in his presence. Let no one ever say that God is ignorant, for it is not right to attribute ignorance to the Creator of every creature. For even things that are in darkness are before him like light. So there is nothing hidden except God alone, but he is revealed to everyone, yet very hidden. He is revealed because God knows everything. Even if people do not wish to say it, they will be corrected by their hearts. He is hidden because no one perceives the things of God, for he is incomprehensible and unfathomable when it comes to knowing God's counsel. Furthermore, it is difficult to search him out, difficult even to find Christ, for he it is who dwells in every place and in no place. For no one who wants to can know God as he is, not even Christ or the Spirit or the chorus of angels or the archangels, together with the thrones of the spirits and exalted lordships and the great mind. If you do not know yourself, you will not be able to know any of these. Open the door for yourself, that you may know the one who is. Knock on yourself, that the word may open to you. For he is the door of faith and the sharp sword. He became all for everyone, because he wishes to have mercy on everyone. My child, prepare yourself to escape from the world rulers of darkness and the air of the sort that is full of powers. If you have Christ, you will prevail over this whole world. What you open for yourself, you will open. What you knock upon for yourself, you will knock upon, with benefit to yourself. Help yourself, my child, by not proceeding with things in which there is no profit. My child, first purify yourself for the outward life, that you may be able to purify the inward. Don't be a merchant of the word of God. Put all words to the test before you utter them. Don't wish to acquire honors that are insecure or the boastfulness that brings you to ruin. Accept for yourself the wisdom of Christ, who is patient and mild, and guard this, O my child, knowing that God's way is always profitable. Jesus Christ, Son of God, Savior, indescribable wonder.